Hello, everyone. Today I'd like to talk about freestyle, the music genre, and why I think it's one of the most underrated genres in music of all time. But before I get into that, I kind of like to describe how I got into it in the first place. So, as a kid, in the early 90s, I like to say 93, maybe 90, no, most likely 93, if not 92. There was a couple songs that came out around the same time that sounded similar, but I really liked. And that's even though they sounded similar, I like both because I like one, I like the other. The first song goes like this. Temptation, it's a part of life. It doesn't matter if it's wrong or right. Corina, temptation. Okay. Those words are so true even today. The other one that sounds very similar to it is Together Forever. Together Forever Yours. Lisette Melendez. Now, that song's not on this album, but it's by her. And when those two came out, if I recall, Temptation was the one that was more popular. Right? That pretty much played on the top 40 radio like practically every hour. So hear it nonstop. The other one, once in a while, and from time to time, when I do hear the other one, I get confused with Temptation because it seems like the melody or the beat is very similar, if not parts of it exactly the same. It's just when they started singing, you can tell the difference and so forth. At least for me anyway, as a kid. And those two songs, guaranteed, besides, again, Temptation practically played every hour. But if I wanted to hear, like, Together Forever guaranteed to hear it on the radio back then, I would have to wait around 10 o'clock. And that top 40 radio station I talked about would have this thing called Freestyle Friday. And for sure, Freestyle Friday was, at that time when I first heard about Freestyle Friday and started listening to it, this radio station would, from 10 o'clock on, would basically have a DJ spin records continuously for an hour. So it was like commercial free. And those two songs would be played for sure. And not only that, those two songs would have, like, I always thought the DJ would do something pretty cool with it. But then I think later on I realized that the DJ had like the different mixes to the songs that are used more on the club perspective. So like a house mix, club mix, or something like that. And the DJ would spin records from them as well as others, obviously. So when I first heard Freestyle Friday, I always thought the freestyle was the DJ kind of freestyling, right, on the records and so forth. At least that's what I thought originally. I never knew freestyle as a term for a genre. Heck, I don't even know the term genre itself. The word genre. I wouldn't even know to say such a thing. And after listening, I like to say maybe half a dozen Freestyle Fridays, I got to understand, or at least recognize, that the music the DJ was playing had a familiar feel, similarity. Now, again, all the songs, I don't mean like all the songs are the same or anything like that, but I could tell before knowing the word genre, what a genre meant, was that it was in the same genre of music. So, growing up now, understanding what genre means as a word, and then now knowing not now, but a bit later, knowing that freestyle was an actual genre of music, it made sense, or it made all sense. And when I first knew about freestyle, it's kind of like in the early 90s, and that was like a really bad time to get into freestyle because pretty much freestyle died. No, that's a bad term. I don't want to use it died, but freestyle just ended early 90s, right? So Temptation by Corina, as I mentioned, and Together Forever by Lisette. Outside of that, there might have been a few more songs from the freestyle genre that made it in the top 40, but afterwards disappeared. That genre just totally disappeared. It ended. Now, not saying that there are other artists or similar artists that were still creating music in the freestyle genre, but it just never reach like the top 40, the masses, as it did in the early 90s. And again, that was the tail end of the freestyle genre. So going back, trying to, understanding, growing up and understanding all different types of genres and things like that, I was really interested in the freestyle genre. And from what I've recall, freestyle is kind of like, I would like to say how it originated, similar to house, techno, things like that. So disco pretty much died. Again, wrong word. So it ended. Disco ended basically in the early 80s. 82, maybe 83. Pretty much, it was pretty much gone. Now, similar forms of dance music that kind of emerged afterwards, that became popular, was Chicago house specifically. That was like Frankie Bones and so forth. Techno, dubstep. Now you got the typical like Madonna, Michael Jackson. Even Madonna was really more disco-ish, kind of, but a mix of the freestyle, hip hop, kind of mixed together on one. But house, techno, and then freestyle. Freestyle came out from I think 82 as well. The thing with freestyle in the early years, and really throughout its existence, was really more of a localized form of a localized genre specific to New York City and Miami. I don't recall where it came out first, but around the same time, Miami and New York City dominated at least the music scene for freestyle music. And not only that, it's really a specific community, mainly Latino. From what I understand, Italians got into it too, but freestyle's really a Latino. The communities would listen and promote freestyle music. And in New York City and Miami, they would have clubs, like when disco ended, discotheque clubs and stuff like that. The newer clubs would play freestyle music, and that's how it got really popular, or it started to gain popularity. Now, the first majority of the artists I don't know in the early 80s. Now, I mean, I've heard of them, but I never heard of their music unless I listened to YouTube and figure it out. But even then, I don't think I ever heard them on the radio at the time when I was a kid. But I definitely heard this song, and this is the song that really broke freestyle open into the mass market. You got to know this song. Okay, that's Shannon. Let the Music Play. It's also on this one, the remix. So I think this came out in '84, and this was huge. A lot of people say it's kind of like the birth of freestyle. There are a lot of freestyle songs by freestyle artists before, but this song really broke it open. If you listen to top 40 radio across the country, I don't know where other parts, probably in Latin American countries and so forth, this song was huge. And I know for sure this song was played on Freestyle Fridays. So Shannon's Let the Music Play broke it open. And then from there on out, I'd say late 80s were the peak years of freestyle. So you had artists like Expose, love Expose. TK is one of my favorite, if not favorite, artists from that genre. You got Stevie B, who's probably the most popular. You got Debbie Deb. Oh, Debbie Deb. We got to play Debbie Deb. Okay, so that's Debbie Deb. You can accompany B. One of the originators, Lisa. I mean, there's just so many to describe. Now, I don't know. Again, when I first got into it, it was more of the Corina and Lisette. But there's so many artists before then that actually made it big. There are a lot of songs that really hit the top 40 and really popular. And this was all in freestyle genre. So now, talking about freestyle and why I think it's underrated. And to get into that, going back to when I was a kid, listening to Freestyle Fridays and understanding the similarities in a song and knowing that it's probably a genre, again, without knowing what the term genre meant at the time. But now, freestyle music is kind of, for me, I kind of define it as it's electronic music. So what EDM, it is electronic dance music with the focus on the dance part. It's practically every song from not freestyle, but yeah, freestyle. Every song, even the kind of like the ballad type of stuff, you can dance to it, believe it or not. It's that's what it is. So it's dance music with a lot of energy. That's one component. The second component is the beat. The beat has kind of a hip-hop-ish beat. Now, it might be more 80s hip-hop beat, and I'm not talking about the rapping. There's no rapping or anything in freestyle. It's just the beat, underlying beat. Beat breaks, I'm not sure if that's the right term, but a lot of freestyle songs have that element into it. So it has that beat, the hip-hop beat, along with the kind of the high-energy dance. Pair it with the third thing, synthesizer. So there's a lot of 80s synthesizers. Obviously, this is an 80s dominated genre. So you got the synth going on. But it's synth, but played not annoyingly. It's more of a thing to follow the vocalist. So number 4, which defines freestyle, they're singing in practically every song. It's not like an instrumental and in like house music. Like house that kind of also came out around the same time, Chicago house at least, with freestyle and techno and dubstep. Those are, to me, were the forms of electronic music, dance music that kind of came out from disco. And with house and so forth, it's strictly like more of the beat, the electronic part of it, and there might be some vocals to it, but it's more like from a chorus perspective or making sounds and things like that, but it's not really any singing per se. Freestyle, every song is singing, pretty much. Every song, it's not an instrumental. There's real lyrics, and lyrics are not just doing chorus or anything. They're trying to explain something, whether it's the soulfulness of whatever they're trying to talk about or things like that. It's real music, right? With real lyrics and all that. So they're trying to sing something. And the fifth part that to me makes up freestyle, that when you combine everything makes it very unique, is it has a Latin feel to it, a Latin vibe. Latin rhythm, maybe. It's kind of like that. So at first when I like listened to Temptation and so forth and listening to other freestyle songs at the time, I always had my impression of, or the very first thing I can kind of compare to was Gloria Estefan and the Miami Sound Machine, mainly because it has like that kind of vibe to it. Gloria Estefan and that kind of thing, to me, it's a Latin vibe. I don't know any artist I could have compared at that time that was, popular, and it was kind of like a Latin vibe, Latin rhythm, Latin feel to it, outside of Gloria Estefan. And she was huge, no doubt about it, in the 90s, early 90s. Definitely the 80s, too. I got into music in the early 90s. But anyway, so all 5 elements. So it's electronic dance music that's kind of energetic. You can pretty much always dance to it. Singing, there's vocals, lyrics. You got the kind of the hip hop drop beats and things like that. You got the Latin rhythm and so forth. And you got the synths. And again, the synths kind of follow the vocals. They're not like the main thing per se. So it doesn't a lot of synth music, it's kind of like one of the main things, or kind of goes in front and it gets annoying because of the synth sound. With majority of freestyle, it's not like that. So anyway, that to me what makes freestyle distinctive. And again, it's kind of like in the urban population, heavily on the Latino communities that freestyle is most popular for. And that's pretty much it. Now, living in a big city as I was as a kid, and it did have a pretty large Latino population as well. I can understand why freestyle became, or I don't know how popular it was in my city at the time, but there's definitely songs for it, and I think it was tailoring toward the Latino population as well. So, it tries to, top 40, you're going to try to mix with everyone, right? Especially in a big urban city. So that's why I got into it. And, looking back and going through all the songs, I really fell in love with the freestyle genre. And what makes it so underrated to me is this. So, again, freestyle started, 82-ish or something like that. Kind of got big in 87 with all those artists I mentioned. It tailed and pretty much died in the early 90s. I don't know when, 93, 94 maybe. And that's pretty much it. Now, here's the funny part of freestyle. It's pretty much contained between when it started in the early 80s and when it finished in the early 90s. Self-contained. You could just take it out, move it around, and you're not straggling here or there anywhere. And what I mean by that is all the artists that were popular from the freestyle genre never made it out of it per se. So the closest person I can think of, I forgot his name, but he goes by the name K7, and he had a popular album, which I might talk about down the road. K7 came out from TKA, but even then, that I love that one album, but I don't know how popular it was. But outside of that, no other artists really made it outside of freestyle. I can't think of anyone at all. I might be mistaken, but even if there's someone that had some slight success, it wasn't like big or anything that was noticeable. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, I can't think of any other music genre since freestyle that sounds like freestyle, or at least has a lot of the elements from freestyle. So it seemed like the freestyle genre didn't really have any major impact or influence on the succeeding genres. Now, you could say EDM, electronic dance music. Even to today, I think it's more house-based. So Chicago house, you can throw in Italian house, things like that. But house music, techno music, I think that has more influence than freestyle in terms of, influence, right? And impact. I think those genres had way more impact in today's music, or music that followed, than freestyle. The only thing I could think of freestyle is, and it would be very specific to like Latin music. So it would be kind of like Selena type of music, but more dance. And that's the thing. Selena's music is, I don't know. It's tough to say. The only other thing I could think of is reggaeton, but even then, reggaeton is more rap, so it has elements of hip hop, but it's rapping. The drum beat is very specific. You know it when you hear reggaeton. And reggaeton seems like there's only 5 or 10 beats, and it's always reused for every song ever made. That's what it seems like. But and also, it's always sung or rapped in Spanish, right? So I don't think freestyle has that type of influence on anything else. So that's what I'm getting at. It doesn't have, it pretty much started and ended, and it's self-contained. No one really was able to have a career or successful career kind of evolving from freestyle. And there's no music that seems to be influenced from freestyle, following freestyle successfully. So it started 82, early 80s for sure, died in early 90s, and that's pretty much it. And for what it is, or what it was, freestyle, it really is a niche genre, And it's, as with all genres, it's one of those, it's an acquired taste. More like an acquired here, but you know, whether you like it or not, I do, and I might be in a minority, and it might also be because it's very urban, and not only urban influence or really localized to you know, the big cities, but Latino itself. So funny, when you go on YouTube and you try to listen to some songs, and in the YouTube recommendation they would give you shorts, you would see people dancing to freestyle music, and majority of those shorts are like from Latin American countries. So that kind of tells you how much influence it is on a Latino community side, but that's pretty much it. So anyway, I think as a whole, it's very unique, very distinctive. Yes, you gotta like the style of music to get into it. If you don't, then you probably don't like the genre itself. But I think it has a lot of elements that make freestyle unique. It's not like a dud or anything. There's very unique elements to freestyle, and it just can't seem to break open or influence anything or have that type of impact that I believe it should. But that's why I think it's underrated. Anyway, maybe it's because I really like freestyle music and no one seems to care about it. Anyway, tell me what you think. Are you into freestyle? If you're into it, maybe you can explain why. Maybe I'm wrong on a lot of things. I don't know, but to me, it just seemed like started and ended, and that's it. And no one really, if you weren't in a generation that was listening to music around the like 80s or 90s and you heard of freestyle, most people today don't even know the genre of the term freestyle. It's kind of, when you talk freestyle, you think of like freestyle rapping or something, not the actual genre of music. And again, a lot of these artists, if not majority, most people wouldn't know. And that's the thing. The artists that were popular in freestyle never really broke out of it and just kind of self-contained within that period of freestyle. Now, last thing, I want to play the song that I think is the best of the freestyle generation. So let me at least play that for you. Should be this song. It's also on this album. So this is Linear, Sending All My Love. And it's spelled linear, and I always called it linear for the longest time until I realized everyone calls it linear. So it's Linear, Sending All My Love. And they really only have one song, this song, but I think it's the best song of the genre, mainly because I think it represents the genre well. If I had to give one song that best represents freestyle, this would be it. And I can pretty much guarantee 50% that if you listen to the whole song, you'll like it. 50% guarantee. So anyway, freestyle. Yes, freestyle. I love it. Hopefully you will too. If don't, listen to it and try to like it. Anyway, that's all I've got to say. Thanks. Bye.